Good morning. I apologize for my crazy hair. This is my working hair. So today I kind of want to stray a little bit from our big and heavy topics to something a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun. If any of you know me personally, then you know that I'm a very creative person. So I mentioned before that me and my husband decided we're staying in this house. We wanted to do some remodels, so we've been doing some kitchen remodels. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about it because we've been doing it on a very tight budget because we don't want to spend a lot of money on it because we don't plan to stay here very long. So we're not trying to invest in it to the point that it would make more sense to stay, if that makes any sense. So kind of want to talk a little bit about it, the creative project behind it, and kind of what we've been doing. I also kind of hope to add this into my usual rotation of things that we can talk about, different creative outlets that I have, and different things that I've learned to do. So jumping into the kitchen. So I will try to post pictures later because I should be about done with all of it today. Very exciting. Our kitchen was a really old kitchen. So the house was built a really long time ago, to the point that a lot of the building things in it, like the AC, the way that the wiring was done, and some of the styling in the house is no longer what houses look like sometimes. For example, the living room doesn't have a light in it, so the same way you have a ceiling fan or a ceiling light in it, the living room doesn't have one. You have to put lamps or different things in there to help light it up or open the windows. So we've been kind of looking at it and figuring out how we're going to make the space work, how we're going to make it our own, and we both decided to start in the kitchen. I was going to say I did because that's one of my favorite rooms. I love to cook, so it's the room that I spend some of the most time in, aside from the bedroom, but most of the time I spend in the bedroom I'm sleeping, so it doesn't really matter as much. But looking at the kitchen, kind of like being in there every day to cook breakfast, lunch, dinner, all of the works in there, I didn't really like the way it looked. Some of it just didn't really work well. The hinges weren't really working, so we decided to start working on it. First thing we had decided was that all of the hinges needed to go. They were really old. I'm pretty sure they used to look like a gold color, but they were brown. Not the kind of hinges you want in your houses. So we decided whenever we were going to get started on it, we were going to go make sure we got everything we wanted, we would get any additional ideas, and we would take all of the doors off. And it had a faux wood covering on all of the cabinetry. So it was a fake wood, it was old, worn, and it didn't really look good anymore. So we decided, hey, well, if we're going to take the cabinet doors off, we might as well paint. While we were thinking about painting, I thought about backsplashes, countertops, the works, and so it ended up being a full kitchen remodel. So we started with the hinges. We took all of the doors off one day and we said, this is what we're starting with. Took all the doors off, took all of the hardware off of it, took them outside, scrubbed them down because they had a coat of oil and dirt and dust and everything that had just built on it over the years. So I took them outside, I scrubbed them down, rinsed them off, let them dry outside, and then took them to the side of the house and spray painted all of them. The spray paint was more to kind of give it a good coat, so hopefully it would be a little bit more even when we actually painted it. So once that was done, we brought it all inside, kind of put all the doors to a side so that way we could let them finish drying and then kind of work on it. So I went to the cabinets, so what was left was just the walls and like the panels between doors. Went through, painted all of that one coat. Went through, painted a second coat, painted all of the drawers as well, because we'd taken them out. Those still need to be replaced, but took them out, painted them. Then we got some really nice silver hinges, and if you're planning to replace your hinges, please make sure that all of them are the same, because we had about 4 or 5 packs of hinges that were different than the rest of them, so we had to take a second trip. So do your homework, look through everything. Before you buy it, make sure that it's the ones that you need. Fast forward. So we're putting all of the hinges on, putting the doors on, taking forever because the way the old hinges kind of had gone in, so the door was like this and flat, and so you usually put the hinge on top. For whatever reason, these old hinges kind of dug into it. And so when we're trying to screw the old hinges in, this top part was collapsing because it was hollow underneath. I don't know what they were thinking when they built this house. Anyway, so we get in, we finally get all of the hinges in. We learned we had to kind of pre-drill a small little bit of the hole just to get it started and then get them all in. Once we figured that out, it moved a lot quicker. My husband put all the doors on. Starting to feel good. He goes through, puts the second coat on everything because he wanted a specific texture, so instead of brush painting, he did a roller to it and got all of that done. Before we painted, I had thought about backsplashes, and whenever you're looking at backsplashes, most of the time they're tile. And tile is expensive, and it requires a skill. So you have to know how to put it on, you have to know how to like put all the grouting in it, clean it off, put all the thing, and I don't know how to do that. He doesn't really know how to do that. We could probably figure it out, but it's a lot of work, and it just didn't seem quite what we wanted to do. However, there are these amazing little things. I think they were called smart tiles. They look like the backsplashes that we liked, but they were stickers. Yay, stickers. So this was our cheap and easy route to go, while not looking cheap and easy. So we took all of the... My husband wanted to start, so he started it off, put it in the corner, liked the way it looked. We left it on there for a day because we were doing other things that day just to see if it would stick. And it ended up sticking really well, so we were going to put the rest of them on there. However, you have to line up the tiles really well in order to get it to stick, because one side has kind of like the tiles coming to an end and like different jagged edges a little bit like that, and so the other one kind of fits into it. And one side has, where it fits into it, has a metal covering, so that way like that's the end, you don't have to keep going or add it like a half tile there. And you have to line it up right, otherwise there'll be gaps and there'll be all of the stuff. Either my husband doesn't have the patience for that, or it's just not his skill set. However, I was known as like the arts and crafts queen, so I was like, I'm gonna take over. Took over, put them all through, ended up painting around the outlet sockets because it didn't quite line up right. I might still go back and fix it, just like little detail work on it. Replaced all of the outlets because my husband doesn't like the almond colored outlet covers. Not questioning it, I just let that go. So we changed them all out, put on the white ones. They look a lot better. Got all of the backsplash done. It immediately, that was the first thing that we actually finished. We'd already started on the cabinets, and this was kind of as they were working. He wanted to kind of help more with putting hinges and hardware on, so I was working on the backsplash. That got finished first, and oh my gosh, it felt so good. It was, maybe we got like 4 packs, so maybe $80 to put this stuff on. It looks great. It changed the whole, I stood back and stared at it for a minute because it just made the kitchen look that much better. It was very exciting. So, renewed with this new vigor, I started painting everything. We got the cabinet doors on. Once we got all the hardware on, all the cabinet doors on, second step, the kitchen's still looking fabulous. It is just, it feels like a brand new kitchen. And this is like where I'm kind of getting really pumped up, really excited, and now we're figuring out what to do with the countertops. So, before we worked on the doors and the cabinetry and anything in the kitchen, we'd been looking through like Home Depot, Lowe's, kind of going through all of the places to look at different cabinets. Is it going to be easier to replace them? Is it going to be, can we just take off the top of the counters and put on the top of the counters? Like, what is going to be the thing here? We looked at everything. It was expensive to get completely new counters. And it, again, required a skill. Somebody would have to come in who knew what they were doing, or we would have to figure it out ourselves, I'm sure making a mess along the way, and put on new countertops. That wasn't going to work because like I said, we were on a budget. We wanted to make sure that we were limiting spending to the point that we didn't want to put thousands of dollars into this. A couple hundred, not too bad, but not thousands, because that was kind of where the crossing line was. It meant that we wouldn't be able to do any of the other rooms, or it would take longer because we didn't want to pull out a loan for this. We wanted to use whatever excess money, so we're making this much, we put all of this towards bills, the leftover that was savings that we can do, we can save it, we can go out to eat, we can do whatever we want with it. We wanted to work within that budget, which meant that we had a very limited amount, or we would have to wait longer to get all of this done. So, figuring it out, we decide as we were looking through Home Depot, they have like this contact paper section, and it was mostly for the inside of cabinets so you can line it. That got me thinking though, because some of it had some really nice textures on it. What if we just got something like this? Granted, this specific one is not particularly waterproof. It wasn't exactly what we wanted, but that got us thinking. We can't have been the only people remodeling their kitchen that didn't want new countertops but needed to essentially resurface it. We got questioning, asking, come on, there has to be something that we can put on top. We finally found it on Amazon, and after confirming it with a couple of people from Home Depot, that there was a very specific, I think it was recommended Formica, but that's not exactly what we found. We did, however, find a good contact paper for it, is what I keep calling it. It's not the brand, and it was a white, kind of marbled, with like gray marbling in it, and it was really pretty, and we measured out the counter. We're like, more or less, this is how many rolls we need. We bought them on Amazon here the next day, looking at it, testing it out. If you look at our counters once we're done, you'll see that the seams are a little different because there's this one little piece between the stove and the fridge that is essentially a little bit right around the width of the roll that we got. So I just started at the top, rolled it down just to kind of see how it would work, how it would stick, if it stuck well, if it didn't, if I was going to be needing to take it slow, I can just like rip off all the backing and just stick it down really easy, how it was going to work. Rolled it down, kind of trimmed it up, made it look really nice. Seemed to go on pretty easy. The only thing was counters have that slope on the bottom, and then they go up and they slope up like that against the wall. And that was going to be an issue because if it's a square, you can kind of roll it up to there and then roll it down, two separate pieces, not a problem. However, since it was smooth, it had to continuously, so it meant that if we started at the top, we'd have to be pressing it specifically in that groove. Otherwise, it would be like the groove, and then the paper would kind of do that, and so there'd be an air pocket, and if something hit it, it would crack it or tear it, and then you would see the really ugly yellow countertop that used to be there. Granted, it looked a lot nicer against the gray, but we still didn't want that countertop because it had all sorts of like pits and pockets in it. So, kind of figured out what was going to work, what was not going to work, how we laid it out, cut it up, trimmed it up. It looked really nice. Now, this was kind of over a weekend, so I was going to keep working on it Monday morning. My husband said, I was like, okay, should we just keep going it like top to bottom? Should we do it side to side? Because this next two pieces are really long, smooth countertops. So how are we going to want the seam? How are we going to want to do this? We had decided that we were going to run it side to side, the length all the way to the corner, which was going to seam diagonally. We'd cut it up, follow that seam, and keep going because the seam is a little warped over time. Like I said, I'm not quite sure what they were thinking when they were putting this house together. So, how we were going to roll it. Monday morning came. First of all, I did my video. For whatever reason, that was all the energy I had that day because almost immediately following, I started developing a headache. I wasn't feeling great. I was getting really frustrated, but I was gonna get the countertops done. I was like, nope, I already cleared the counter. We'd cleaned it. We'd taken everything off. We'd scrubbed it down and everything. It was ready to go. I needed to do it today. I'm rolling it side to side. And it's at this corner is cut weird. So I'm frustrated. I've cut it wrong. I'm doing this, and it's just, I'm about done with the day by this point because it's just being really frustrating. I do one piece, and I still have to do the top piece of this because the length of it doesn't match the length of the counter or the width of the counter. It is nowhere near the same dimensions. I was going to have to do layers with seams that we would have to figure out how to line up, or just line up however it lined up. However, as I'm doing this, I'm just getting ridiculously frustrated because if you have ever worked with sticky paper that you have to lay smooth, it is always better to work in small pieces at a time. So working it long ways with this really long piece was probably the worst idea I'd ever had. And if I had to do it again, I'd not do it like that. Granted, I learned a good lesson, still not doing it like that again. So it's really frustrating, but got this one piece done. And I can't really peel it all up to do it the other way, which means I got to just finish what I started this way. Take the next piece, kind of more or less measured it out, cut it up so it was gonna fit everything with a little bit of overhang so I can kind of line it up. Start putting it on there. By this point, I'm dying. My sinuses are hurting. I'm really frustrated. It's just not happening anymore. Go and take care of myself, make sure I'm feeling better, because I don't know what was in the air, what's still in the air, because I still have a little bit of a headache, but it was just not happening. Took a nap, kind of started feeling better, came back out, laid it out, piece at a time. Took care of this little corner, took care of this little piece, kind of rolling it down as it goes, figuring it out. Ended up just being like a cut and paste job of a lot of really tiny pieces in the corner. And I will probably try to have to move stuff to take a really good picture of that corner, because that corner was the bane of my existence. Just the way it laid out was not friendly to sticky paper at all. But we got it done. And I started a little bit towards where the sink is, because it's a little piece there that is another like triangle corner. Laid that out. Again, this was in sections. By this point, I'm kind of dying. I've got a lot of medication in my system because I took some sinus meds to help drain, to help relieve sinus pressure, all of the stuff. So I'm kind of in and out of it. I work on a little piece, my patient runs out, I come play a video game, or I come do a chore, or I come do something else, or I take care of the cats. But I'm doing this in segments now. Finally got the top piece done. Cleaned it up, laid it out. It's got all sorts of like where it pinched up, and there's like little lines running through it and little pockets of air and all of the little imperfections that come with doing something like sticky contact paper on top of counters. And I've just decided it's just going to be texturized. I don't care anymore. I've given up by this point. I'm like, nope, that's the way it looks. Pretty happy with that. My husband comes home, looks at the counter, and I had already sent him a text before this saying, as soon as you walk in the house, you look at the counters, you without hesitation just say, oh, it looks great, honey, you did an amazing job. And then if you think I sucked at it, well, you can go and fix it yourself. He walks in, he's like, you know, it actually does look good. And I was like, okay, whatever. He says it's from the doorway, and it's kind of, you know, his 10 feet rule. If it looks good 10 feet away, it's fine. Goes and looks at it, and then he starts going, what happened here? And what's this? And what's that? I'm like, I told you. I was fighting with this countertop. You had one job. So he looks at it, kind of messes with it, tries to smooth it out, sees where all of the stuff is, and then he's like, okay, it looks good. He was in charge of dinner that day because he went and bought himself some steaks and wanted to cook that, so. And that was the end of my day. I said, nope, I'm not doing any more. That's it. I will finish tomorrow. So I was in there, I was fixing it today, put on the rest of it the shorter way, which is from top to bottom instead of side to side. One piece, two piece. This is already proving like 100 times easier than the other way, because I already had 2 pieces down. I still have all my patients left. I came to do this video and I'm still feeling good. I've got 1 piece left, which is the edge of the counter, the end, and there's a little piece of yellow still there. I'm sticking on a piece. I'm going to trim it up and it'll be done. And the only thing I can think of at the end of all this is top to bottom. Short pieces next time. Because he made a comment of, it looks really good. Even if we had to do this every 5 years or so, it would be worth it. I don't want to do this again in 5 years. So if I'm still doing this vlog in 5 years, and I look like I'm balding, or I've pulled all my hair out, I probably was the one that needed to put the countertops back on again. But I will have learned, don't do it long ways, do it short ways. And I've learned a lot doing this and putting this together, which was be patient, take your time, and it doesn't have to be perfect. 10-foot rule, apparently. If it looks good from a distance, and if you don't point out all of the flaws in it, most people aren't going to notice. So we're just about done with the kitchen. before that, we got rid of, if you've ever gone through Home Depot or Lowe's and you go through the garage section, there's all of these like plastic tier things that you can put stuff on to help organize the garage. We had one of those in his kitchen that was a pantry. Not fun. Got that replaced with a sideboard that looks really nice. It has doors, so it hides all of the stuff if we want to put it away. So it's got like cans on one side, it's got Instant Pots that we got from our wedding on the other side, and stuff on top to give more counter space. And it just, all in all, it looks so much better. And it's been a really slow progress over the last couple months, but it's making us feel like this is more of our home than it is a house. And it didn't cost us thousands of dollars. We didn't have to go and buy a new house. All we had to do was give it a little tender, loving care. And this kind of applies to everything, whether it's you're doing home remodels, you're fixing a relationship, and all of that good stuff. If something's not feeling the way you want it to feel, or it's not working out the way you want it to, take a step back, breathe, and work at small pieces of contact paper at a time. Thanks for listening.